The star cruiser of Empress Zalrani moved across the dark space like a silver blade. Its wings glowed with soft blue light, and its engines hummed with calm power. Inside the main chamber, the Empress sat on her high throne, her sharp golden eyes fixed on the hologram in front of her. She looked calm on the outside, but every warrior who stood near her could feel the storm rising inside her heart. The hologram showed a broken shelter on a quiet planet at the edge of Dracarith space. Scattered pieces of metal lay on the ground. Claw marks were visible on the walls, and small scorch burns marked the floor. And most painful of all, the nest was empty. Her dragon younglings, small, tender, and precious to her people, were missing. The Empress did not shout. She did not pound her fist. Her silence was more frightening than any roar. Every soldier stood straight, fearing even to breathe too loudly. General Rhaegar stepped forward. He was tall, strong, and loyal, but even he spoke with caution. "Your Majesty," he said softly. The scouts followed the trail. All signs lead to a human frontier settlement in the valley. Humans. The Empress narrowed her eyes. She had never trusted them. To her, humans were unpredictable, careless, and too curious for their own good. They were weak in body yet strong in spirit, and that made them dangerous in a different way. She had heard stories of humans helping many species, but she had also heard stories of accidents caused by them, accidents that turned into conflict, and now her own younglings were missing. "Prepare the landing squad," she ordered. Her voice carried no anger, but it carried weight. "We leave immediately." The soldiers saluted and hurried to obey. The Empress stood and walked toward the viewing window. She looked out at the stars as they streaked by. Her thoughts ran like fast river currents. The dragon younglings were not only important to her as Empress, they were important to her people's future. Dragons and Dracarith shared a deep bond. The younglings were raised with great care, trained slowly, loved deeply. Losing even one was painful. Losing several was a threat to the stability of her entire empire. She lifted her hand, remembering the soft warmth of baby dragon scales. They would chirp happily when touched by someone they trusted. The thought that they might be afraid, hungry, or harmed in any way made the Empress's chest tighten with anger. She would find them, and she would not leave until she had answers. As the star cruiser approached the planet, clouds swirled beneath them like silver mist. The ship broke through the atmosphere, and the land came into view, a green valley with rolling hills and a few small buildings made by human settlers. The Empress stepped onto the landing platform, her long cloak flowing behind her. Her armor shone with polished black metal, marked with golden lines that signified her royal rank. The air around her grew tense, as if even the wind understood her power. Her guards followed closely, holding spears with glowing blue energy tips. They scanned the area carefully. The valley was peaceful, quiet, and still. Birds chirped in nearby trees. Smoke rose gently from chimneys. It looked harmless, too harmless. The Empress found no comfort in the peaceful scene. "Spread out," she commanded. "Search for signs." The guards moved quickly. Some scanned the ground, others checked the structures, and a few climbed higher ground for better view. Every step they took was precise. Every sound they made was controlled. They were trained for moments like this. The Empress walked slowly through the settlement. Humans had built simple wooden homes with stone foundations. The smell of cooked food lingered in the air. But the humans themselves stayed hidden inside. They had seen the large ship descend. They had seen the tall warriors in dark armor. And they knew something serious was happening. One door cracked slightly open, and a pair of frightened eyes looked out. The Empress did not stop walking. She did not want to frighten them. But she also could not pretend this was a simple visit. A guard approached her and bowed. "Your Majesty, the trail leads beyond the settlement, toward a forest clearing." She nodded. "Show me." They traveled beyond the houses, through a short path lined with tall grass and soft earth. The Empress felt the change in the air. The smell of trees, the whisper of leaves, the distant murmur of running water. But then she smelled something else, something familiar. Dragon scent. Her heartbeat quickened. She moved ahead without waiting for her guards. Her steps were strong, filled with purpose. The trees parted, and sunlight broke through in warm streaks. The clearing opened before her like a hidden world, and there, she finally saw them, her missing dragon younglings. But the sight made her stop in surprise. The younglings were not frightened. They were not chained or hurt. They were sitting happily around a small human boy, no older than 12. His clothes were simple and worn, but his face held a gentle smile. He was kneeling on the ground, holding a bowl of warm mash, feeding one youngling while 2 others chirped and nudged at him, asking for their turn. The Empress blinked, unsure if she was imagining things. The boy was humming softly, as if this was the most natural thing in the world. The dragons nuzzled him, wrapping their little tails around his arms and legs with affection. The guards reacted instantly. "Your Majesty, step back. Shall we secure the child? Prepare restraints." The boy looked up in fear as the armed guards pointed their glowing spears at him. The dragons hissed in alarm, gathering protectively around him. But before anyone could harm anyone, the Empress raised her hand. "Stand down." Her voice was calm but firm. The guards obeyed immediately, lowering their weapons. She stepped forward slowly. The boy trembled but did not run. The dragons watched her closely. When she spoke, her tone was clear and measured. "Human child," she said. "Why do you have my younglings?" The boy swallowed hard, gathering courage. I found them," he said. His voice shook, but he continued. "They were alone near the river after the storm. They were cold and hungry. I didn't know who they belonged to, but I couldn't leave them. I just wanted to help." His words carried no lies, no hesitation, only simple honesty. The Empress looked at the younglings. They were healthy, warm, and safe. Their scales glowed under the sun, brighter than when they had disappeared. The boy had cared for them as if they were his own responsibility. For a long moment, the Empress said nothing. Her guards waited, unsure of what she would do next. But inside her heart, something shifted, something small, but powerful. Because in that single moment, she realized that not all humans were careless. Not all humans were a danger. This boy had protected what she cherished most. And that was the first spark that would change everything. The clearing remained quiet, as if the whole forest were holding its breath. The human boy stood frozen in place, still holding the bowl of warm mash. The dragon younglings pressed closer to him, chirping softly as though trying to protect him. The guards watched carefully, unsure of what the Empress would do next. The Empress Salrani stepped forward with calm, measured steps. The sun shone on her dark armor, making her look like a tall figure of living metal. The boy's eyes widened as she approached. He had probably never seen an alien ruler before, especially not one whose presence felt so powerful. "What is your name, child?" the Empress asked. Her voice was clear, neither angry nor gentle. It was the voice of someone trying to understand. The boy nervously rubbed the back of his hand against his clothes and answered, "My name is Aaron." Aaron, a simple name. A small human boy, alone in a forest clearing with younglings that belonged to one of the strongest species in the galaxy. The Empress looked at him closely. His hair was messy, his boots muddy, and his hands slightly scratched from taking care of the dragons. There was no sign of fear toward the younglings, only worry for their safety. "Did anyone tell you to take them?" she asked. Aaron shook his head quickly. "No, ma'am. I found them near the river 2 days ago. The storm had just passed. They were shivering, and one was too weak to move. I didn't know they were yours, but I knew they needed help." The Empress listened carefully. His words were simple, but they held truth. She had lived long enough to sense lies, and this boy was telling none. She pointed at the bowl he held. "What is that?" "It's food I made," Aaron replied. "I used nutrient mix from our settlement. My uncle raises farm animals, so we have feed for small creatures. I tried different things until they liked this one." A youngling nudged the bowl, reminding him it wanted more. Aaron gave a small smile and gently placed the bowl back on the ground so the little dragon could eat. The Empress noticed how natural his movements were, slow, careful, thoughtful. Not a single sudden action that might scare the younglings. A Dracarith guard approached. "Your Majesty, shall we remove the boy now?" "Remove him?" Aaron whispered, looking terrified. Before the guard could say more, the Empress lifted her hand again. "No. Not yet." She turned back to Aaron. "Show me." The boy blinked. "Show you? What? Ma'am?" "Staying. How you cared for them." Her request surprised everyone in the clearing. Even the younglings paused their eating to look up. "Is that allowed?" Aaron asked softly. "Yes," the Empress replied. "I want to see exactly what you did." Aaron hesitated only a moment before kneeling again. He gently guided one youngling closer, checked its temperature by touching the scales on its neck, then inspected its wings. All the while, he explained everything out loud, as if teaching a simple lesson. "This one had trouble opening its wings earlier," he said. "I massaged the joints gently, and it helped. And this one gets cold easily, so I keep it wrapped in my jacket. I'm sorry if that was wrong. I just didn't want it to freeze." The Empress and her guards watched silently. "Their claws are sharp," Aaron said, "so I make sure they don't get stuck in anything." He gave a shy laugh. "They also like to chew things, so I gave them pieces of soft wood. They seem to enjoy that." One youngling chirped loudly in agreement. Aaron continued checking each dragon, one by one, speaking softly to them. His tone was calm, and the dragons responded by curling around him affectionately. One even climbed onto his lap, making him laugh in surprise. The Empress felt something stir in her chest, a feeling she had not expected. This human boy had cared for her younglings with a kindness even some of her trained caretakers rarely showed. His hands moved with care, not fear. His voice held warmth, not hesitation. "Do you know what they are?" she asked. Aaron looked up. "Dragons," he said simply. "But I didn't know they belonged to anyone important." "Important?" The Empress raised an eyebrow. Few dared to speak so openly to her. Aaron nodded. "They're special. You can tell by how they look, and how they act. They're not like normal animals. They understand you." One youngling nudged him again, as if agreeing with his words. The Empress studied the scene. She had expected something very different when she began her search. Maybe hostility, maybe carelessness, maybe even intentional harm. But not this. Not a boy who treated her precious younglings with genuine affection. "Why did you do all this?" she asked quietly. "You owe nothing to my people." Aaron looked down at his hands. "Because they needed help," he said simply. "I couldn't just walk away." The simplicity of his answer carried more weight than any long speech. A guard stepped forward. "Your Majesty, I request permission to retrieve the younglings now. They must return to the nursery." The younglings sensed this and chirped nervously, clinging to Aaron. Aaron gently stroked them. "It's okay," he whispered. "I think they want to go home." The Empress hesitated for the first time. She could see how attached the younglings were to him, and surprisingly, how attached he seemed to be to them. She took a slow breath. "Aaron, stand." Aaron obeyed immediately, standing with his hands by his sides. The Empress walked around him, examining him like a rare object she had never encountered before. He stayed still, though she could tell he was nervous. When she stopped in front of him, she spoke in a voice filled with curiosity. "You live in the Humyn settlement nearby?" "Yes, ma'am." "With family?" "Only with my uncle," Aaron replied. "My parents passed away when I was young. My uncle takes care of me." The Empress nodded slowly. She noticed the small worry lines on his face, lines that should not belong to someone his age. A youngling tugged at her cloak, then looked up with wide, curious eyes. It made a soft chirping sound, as if asking her not to be angry with Aaron. She knelt down, touching the youngling's head gently. It leaned into her hand, comforted by her touch. Then, surprisingly, it looked at Aaron and chirped again. The Empress understood the meaning. It wanted Aaron to come closer. She motioned for him. "Join me." Aaron stepped forward carefully, unsure if he was doing the right thing. When he stood next to her, The youngling chirped happily and pressed its head against both of them. The Empress watched this display of trust. Dragons were highly sensitive creatures. They did not bond easily. For them to feel this comfortable with a human boy, that was extraordinary. "You have done something rare today," she said quietly. "Something even adults struggle to do." Aaron blinked in confusion. I just helped them." "Yes," she said. "But help given without expecting anything in return is a powerful thing." She stood and faced her guards. "Lower your weapons fully," she commanded. "The boy is not a threat." The guards obeyed instantly. Aaron visibly relaxed. The Empress turned to him again. "Aaron, you will walk with us. I want to know exactly how you found the younglings and what happened in detail." Aaron nodded. "Yes, ma'am." He gently picked up the weakest youngling and held it close. The Empress noticed how it curled into his chest, like it trusted him completely. As they all began walking back toward the valley, the Empress found herself thinking deeply. She had expected anger and answers found through force. Instead, she had discovered something far more surprising: a human child with a heart kind enough to protect her younglings without hesitation. And though she did not say it out loud, a small thought formed quietly in her mind. Perhaps humans were not as predictable as she once believed. The walk back toward the human settlement was slow and quiet. The Empress moved at a calm pace, giving the younglings and Aaron plenty of time to keep up. Sunlight slipped through the trees and created soft patterns on the ground. Birds sang above, unaware that an entire empire's future was quietly changing in this forest. Aaron held the weakest youngling close to his chest. The tiny creature let out soft, gentle chirps, almost like a lullaby. The other younglings walked beside him, their steps light and playful. The guards, who usually marched with heavy, strong footsteps, now walked carefully so they would not disturb the small dragons. The Empress watched all of this from just a few steps ahead. Her face remained calm, but her mind was full of thoughts. She had always believed humans were unpredictable, but she had never imagined one could show such patience, kindness, and courage toward creatures that most adults feared. "Your Majesty," General Rhaegar whispered from beside her. Careful not to let Aaron hear. "The boy seems honest, but it is unusual, very unusual, for the younglings to trust him so quickly." "Yes," the Empress replied softly. "It is unusual. And that is exactly why we must understand it." She looked back at Aaron. His loose shirt was wrinkled, his boots muddy, and his hair messy from the wind. Yet he walked with steady steps, determined not to let the youngling slip. He kept whispering small things to it, like, "You're okay," and "We'll get you home soon." The Empress had seen many brave warriors, but the boy's gentle courage stood apart from all of them. When they reached the edge of the settlement, several humans peeked out from behind doors and windows. They froze when they saw the Empress and her guards. Some whispered nervously. Others backed away, unsure if they should run or stay. A tall man with gray-streaked hair stepped forward. He wore a simple vest and had a tool belt around his waist. He looked like a farmer or mechanic. His eyes widened when he saw Aaron with the dragons. "Aaron," the man shouted, rushing over. "Are you all right? What happened?" "I'm okay, Uncle Rowan," Aaron reassured him. "These are the baby dragons I told you about." The uncle stared, first at the younglings, then at the Empress, then at the guards. His face turned pale. I didn't know," he stammered. "Your Majesty, please forgive us. The boy didn't mean any harm." The Empress raised her hand slightly. "Your nephew has done nothing wrong." Her calm tone surprised everyone, especially Uncle Rowan. Aaron stepped closer to his uncle and explained quickly. "I found them after the storm. I just didn't want them to get hurt." Rowan placed a hand on Aaron's shoulder and whispered, "You should have told me sooner, kid. I could have helped." Aaron looked down. "I didn't want to worry you." The Empress watched their interaction thoughtfully. Family bonds were universal, no matter the species. She cleared her throat softly, drawing their attention. "I wish to speak with the leaders of your settlement," she said. "We must discuss what has happened." Rowan nodded immediately. Of course, Your Majesty. I'll call them at once. He hurried off, leaving Aaron standing with the Empress. For a moment, the boy looked unsure of where to go or what to do. The younglings stayed close to him, forming a small circle around his legs. The Empress noticed this and said, "Stay with me, Aaron. The younglings feel safe with you." Aaron blinked in surprise but nodded. "Yes, ma'am." Together they walked to the center of the settlement, where a small meeting building stood. It was simple, made of wood and metal sheets, but clean and well kept. The humans gathered outside, whispering nervously about their unexpected visitors. Inside the meeting hall, the settlement leaders assembled around a large table. Rowan guided the Empress to the seat of honor. But she remained standing. She turned to face the group. "I came here seeking answers," she began. "And I have found more than I expected." Her voice filled the room, calm yet powerful. "Your settlement has shown no hostility. The storm scattered the younglings, and your people allowed the boy freedom to care for them. This was not an act of harm. It was one of compassion." A soft murmur passed through the humans. Many looked relieved. Some looked surprised. Aaron stood quietly near the wall, shifting his weight from one foot to another. Rowan cleared his throat. "Your Majesty, we are a peaceful community. We respect all life, human or not. If we had known the younglings belonged to your empire, we would have contacted you at once." "I believe you," the Empress said. Then she looked at Aaron. "And it is because of your boy that I believe you." Aaron's cheeks flushed with embarrassment. All eyes turned toward him. One leader, an elderly woman with silver hair, leaned forward. "Aaron has always been gentle," she said warmly. "Even as a baby, he would pick up injured animals and hide them in his blanket until someone helped. He may look small, but his heart is big." Aaron looked down shyly, unsure how to react. The Empress felt another shift inside her chest, a quiet respect for the boy growing stronger. She turned to her guards. "Prepare a transport for the younglings. They must be returned to the nest as soon as possible." The guards bowed and left the hall. While they waited, the Empress asked Aaron to sit beside her. He hesitated but obeyed. "I want you to tell me everything," she said. "From the moment you saw them." Aaron told the story in simple words. How the storm rattled the valley. How he went to gather fallen branches. How he heard weak chirps and followed the sound. How he found the younglings cold, shivering, and alone. He described bringing them home quietly, warming them with towels, and trying different foods until they finally ate. As he spoke, the Empress watched him carefully. His voice carried no pride, no attempt to impress, only the truth of what he had done. When he finished, she asked, "Were you afraid of them?" Aaron shook his head. "No. They looked like they needed someone, anyone. I guess I was just there at the right time." The Empress studied him for a long moment. "And you stayed with them for 2 days?" "I didn't want them to feel lonely," he said softly, "or scared." The Empress felt something gentle form in her heart, a warmth she had not felt in many years. At that moment, a guard stepped inside. "Your Majesty, the transport is ready." The Empress stood. Aaron followed, carrying the weakest youngling once again. Outside, a sleek transport hovered with its door open, glowing softly. The younglings chirped excitedly when they saw it. They knew they were going home. As Aaron helped place them inside the warm transport nest, one youngling reached out and grabbed his sleeve with its tiny claws. It made a soft, sad sound. The Empress knelt beside it. "They will be safe," she told the creature. "We will take care of them." The youngling looked at her, then at Aaron. It slowly released his sleeve. When the door closed, the Empress turned to the boy. "You have done something rare," she said again. "Something that many beings across the galaxy would not do." Aaron swallowed. "I'm glad they'll be okay. You should come with us," the Empress said suddenly. Aaron stared at her in shock. "With you? Just for the journey to return the younglings," she explained gently. "They trust you. Your presence may comfort them." Aaron looked at his uncle. Rowan nodded with a proud smile. "Go, Aaron. This is something you'll never forget." The boy turned back to the Empress. "Yes, Your Majesty," he said. "I'll come." For the first time, the Empress allowed a small smile to appear at the corner of her mouth. Very quietly, almost too softly to hear, she whispered to herself, "Perhaps this human child was meant to cross my path." Little did she know, this small decision would change not only her understanding of humans, but the future of two entire species. The Empress's transport ship lifted gently from the valley floor. Its engines hummed softly, creating a peaceful vibration that filled the cabin. Aaron sat near the window, still amazed that he was traveling with an alien ruler. Beside him, the dragon younglings rested comfortably inside a warm nest made of soft glowing fibers. The Empress sat across from him, her posture straight and calm. Her golden eyes watched the younglings as they curled together, chirping softly at the movement of the ship. Even inside this metal chamber, they felt safe. Aaron knew they were safe too, because the Empress treated them with great care. "You have been quiet," she said gently, turning her gaze toward him. Aaron looked up, startled. "Oh, I just don't know what to say, Your Majesty." "There is no need to be nervous," she replied. "You are here because you earned this place." Aaron rubbed his hands together. "I still can't believe it." The Empress allowed a small, thoughtful smile. "Sometimes, life brings unexpected paths." Outside, the sky shifted from blue to purple as the ship rose into the upper atmosphere. Stars began to appear like tiny crystals scattered across a velvet surface. Aaron pressed his forehead to the glass, his eyes wide. "It's beautiful," he whispered. "Indeed it is," the Empress agreed. "Space holds many wonders." As the ship continued to rise, one youngling chirped loudly, catching Aaron's attention. It climbed out of the nest and wobbled over to him. The Empress watched silently, wondering what the tiny creature would do. The youngling pressed its head against Aaron's arm, seeking comfort. Aaron smiled and gently stroked its scales. "It's okay. We're going home now." "Fascinating," the Empress murmured. "Their attachment to you is deeper than I thought." Aaron tilted his head. "Is that bad?" "No," she replied softly. "It is rare. And rare things are often very important." "Rare things, important things." Aaron repeated the words quietly in his mind. He wasn't sure he understood what she meant, but the way she said it made him feel warm. The ship entered orbit, where a larger cruiser waited to guide them back to the Dracarith homeworld. Its metal surface shimmered like scales in sunlight. The docking clamps lowered, connecting the two ships with a soft click. The Empress stood. "We are here. Follow me." Aaron nodded, standing carefully so he wouldn't disturb the younglings. But they quickly followed him anyway, forming a small group behind him like loyal companions. As they entered the cruiser, the Dracarith crew members bowed deeply to the Empress. They glanced curiously at the boy but said nothing. The Empress led Aaron through wide hallways decorated with glowing stones and banners that displayed dragon symbols. "This place is amazing," Aaron whispered. "This is one of our finest cruisers," the Empress said. "It will take us to the central dragon sanctuary." They soon arrived in a large chamber filled with warm lights, soft blankets, and climbing structures made of smooth stone. It looked like a perfect home for young creatures. The moment the younglings saw it, they chirped excitedly and hurried forward, exploring every corner. They rolled around happily, stretching their wings and testing their claws on safe surfaces designed for training. Aaron laughed softly. "They like it." "They do," the Empress agreed. She walked to a control panel and pressed a few buttons. A hologram appeared, showing dragon caregivers waiting for the younglings. Aaron watched quietly as she gave careful instructions about feeding, grooming, and checking their scales for injuries. She even mentioned that one youngling enjoyed chewing soft wood, and another liked warm cloth around its body. The caregivers nodded respectfully, impressed by her detailed knowledge. When she finished, the Empress dismissed them. Then she turned to Aaron. "Come," she said. "There is something I wish to show you." Aaron followed her down another hallway until they reached a viewing platform. Below them, through a transparent floor, he saw dozens of dragons, large, graceful, glowing with vibrant colors flying in wide circles around tall spires made of crystal. His mouth fell open. Whoa. The Empress watched his expression with quiet satisfaction. This is the Dragon Sanctuary, one of the most treasured places in our empire. They're beautiful, Aaron said. And powerful, the Empress added. But even the strongest begin as small younglings who need care and kindness. Aaron looked up at her. Like the ones I helped? Yes, she said. Just like them. For a moment, they stood in silence, watching the dragons fly. Their wings created soft gusts of wind that made the crystals hum with gentle music. Finally, the Empress spoke again. You have changed something today, Aaron. Not only for the younglings, but for my people. Aaron frowned slightly. I don't understand. She turned her gaze toward the stars visible through the ceiling. Humans and Dracariths have always kept a distance. There was trust, but never warmth. You have created the first spark of warmth. But I didn't do anything big, Aaron insisted. I just helped them because they needed help. That, the Empress said firmly, is the big thing. Aaron blinked in surprise. She continued, compassion without fear is rare. You showed kindness to creatures that many would run from. You cared for them as if their lives mattered as much as your own. Aaron looked down shyly. I just wanted to do the right thing. And you did, she said. Suddenly, the chamber doors opened and General Rhaegar entered. Your Majesty, he announced. The council has been informed. They request a statement regarding today's discovery. I will give one soon, she replied. Prepare the hall. Rhaegar bowed and left. The Empress looked at Aaron again. Before we go, there is one more thing. She reached into a small pouch on her belt and revealed a medallion shaped like a dragon wing. It shimmered with soft blue light. Aaron stared at it. What's that? This, the Empress said, is the crest of harmony. It is given only to those who create peace between species. It is a rare honor. Aaron's eyes widened. For me? Yes, she said gently. For you. He hesitated before taking it. When it touched his palms, it felt warm, as if it carried a heartbeat. Thank you, he said, his voice trembling slightly. You earned it, she replied. The younglings, sensing the emotion in the room, hurried over and surrounded Aaron once again. One of them chirped proudly, as if celebrating the moment. The Empress placed her hand on Aaron's shoulder. When I first came to your valley, she admitted, I was filled with anger. I feared the worst, but because of you, I saw something better, something hopeful. Aaron looked up at her shyly. Does this mean humans and Dracariths will be friends now? Perhaps not instantly, she said with a soft smile. But today we take the first step. A warm feeling spread in Aaron's chest. He looked around at the dragons, the glowing sanctuary, and the Empress, who now felt less frightening and more like a wise guardian. I'm glad I could help, he said. You did more than help, the Empress corrected gently. You reminded us that even the smallest act of kindness can shape the future. Later, as the council gathered, the Empress announced Aaron's actions to her people. She spoke of his courage, his gentle care, and how he saved the younglings without expecting anything in return. Her words echoed across the hall like music. When she presented Aaron to the council, the Dracariths bowed their heads in respect and honor rarely given to any outsider. Aaron felt nervous, but also proud. He held the medallion tightly in his hand. The younglings chirped from their nest nearby, happy and energetic. The Empress stood beside him, tall and regal. This human child, she declared, has proven that kindness is stronger than fear. Today marks a new beginning for both our worlds. Applause filled the hall, a sound Aaron never expected to hear in his entire life. And as he looked up at the Empress, he saw something he had never noticed before. Hope, not just for himself, not just for the dragons, but for two entire species that would now walk the future together. All because a small human boy decided to help when no one was watching.